have like 15 layers of before going live.
So no, actually, I'm sorry, my mistake, Robert. You're in pitch group 1 in the morning, pitch group 2 in the afternoon.
Right.
So the teams stay in the same pitch group. The judges just move to a separate pitch group.
Thank you.
Okay. And we have Florida here. Florida?
Yeah.
How about Alabama?
Yes, we're here.
Tennessee? Okay, Tennessee?
Here, go Vols.
Auburn was here. Florida? 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 Who's from Florida? What's the name of the person?
It's me, Sheldon Barrett.
Sheldon, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Great. They're here. Everybody's here. Okay. Big thank you to our sponsor today, the SEC, and welcome to Pitch Group 1. Again, our judges for Pitch Group 1 are Ronnie Martinez, Dale Robinson, John Reinhardt, and Robert Griggs. Welcome to Pitch Group 1. The teams will present in the order as determined by Harry Dog. In the afternoon, the order of the pitch teams will be reversed, with the team going first in the morning, going last in the afternoon. Teams will be allowed 5 minutes to make their pitch, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A. Each team will receive a 30-second warning, 30 seconds remaining, and a cutoff of 5 minutes of their pitch. The moderator will then manage questions from the judges for 5 minutes. Participants, we ask that you remain on camera with your microphone muted until time for your presentation. Following the third presentation, we'll take a 10-minute break. Okay, just 1 second. Now, Mississippi State, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I think I'm ready to go.
Okay. Judges, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Looks like we have everyone ready. Mississippi State, I'll start the timer as soon as you start your presentation.
Okay, give me 2 seconds to share this. Can I share my screen or?
Sure. Can you get them to share your screen? Okay, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. All right, are we good to go?
Good to go.
All right, just on your go or on my start or how's the
You
time?
start.
Okay.
You start.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning. My name is AJ Moriel, and I'm the founder of StatTrack, which is a college football recruiting tool that automates high school data for evaluation and conversation. Over 1 million high school players play football every year. 25 scholarships are available for each FBS team to distribute. It's very difficult to choose your 25 players that you want to out of this 1 million player pool. And we live in a big digital age now. So with those 25 players that you want to communicate to them frequently through mailing them stuff, sending them graphics, sending them text, calling them. All this stuff is very important because at the end of the day, the relationship is what matters in recruiting. Currently, in order to get data to talk to these kids about, we have a team of interns that manually inputs it. So we input them, the win, the loss, the score, and any stats that we can find. Currently at Mississippi State, we are tracking over 200 players, and this is about the same number at all other SEC schools as well. The process right now takes forever. It's very tedious and it's very prone to errors. So we came up with StatTrack, which basically takes this process and automates it completely. We've ran a couple of test runs at Mississippi State, and we've had a pretty good deal of success with it. How it works, so the user imports their Excel sheet of their prospective student athletes that they would like to track into StatTrack. And then using a few various APIs, we pull data from these different sources. We actually worked out a deal with ScoreStream about 3 weeks ago, and they are primarily our provider for all of our scores and wins and losses. Our target market is right now the 130 FBS schools and 126 FCS schools. This is a very untapped market. There's no other real tool like us that exists right now. Millions of dollars in spending goes into recruiting now. Just last year, Georgia actually spent $3.3 million on recruiting alone. With the additional spending that comes with that, recruiting departments continue to grow. There's more positions and jobs available than ever before. So we've actually reached out to a lot of different clients. We have a current beta tester at Mississippi State. They've seemed to like us a lot. And just after I tweeted out that I was competing in this competition, we got over 6 phone calls from Power 5 programs interested in using us, including 3 SEC programs. Competition right now is primarily just intern-based data entry. The other forms that you can get your information from come from MaxPreps and Twitter and local news. They all have their various pros, but we take all of their pros and kind of slap it into our own deal. We completely eliminate the human error aspect. Our team consists of myself, AJ Moriel. I've worked in college football recruiting for 3.5 years and have an extensive knowledge of the industry. My tech partner is Patrick Bell. He's also a Mississippi State graduate, and he's worked for multiple big-time companies doing different various software tasks. So kind of to summarize what we've talked about today, we have a tool that automates high school football recruiting data in a booming industry and an untapped market. There's no other real product like us that exists right now. And we're servicing a need that takes a lot of time to kind of get moving. We have an informed and dedicated team that are pretty ready to go with this. We plan on going live beta in January. So now I'll kind of open the floor to any questions that you guys may have.
This is Robert Griggs. How are you getting the data, and how do we know that the data? How do you know the data is correct?
Yeah, so for our scores and our schedules, we're partnered with ScoreStream. They actually have a fan or a coach at every high school game, almost every high school game in America, that inputs the scores as they come in, and then they have somebody also double checking it. So we feel pretty confident in our data. And as far as the stats part goes, we are pulling articles from the news and tweets from journalists that are also attending the game.
This is John Reinhardt.
Any other judges?
Yeah, this is John Reinhardt. What would you define as your singular most competitive advantage? And I was unclear. What's your ask if you're pitching? What are you seeking for in terms of funding or connections or?
Yeah, so our competitive advantage is we completely automate a process that takes forever to do. So this process right now takes me about 4 hours a week just to input the schedules in. And then Friday nights, so I have to pull the data and input the data. That can take another 3 or 4 hours. So our biggest selling point is kind of work less and have more accurate and responsible data. As far as our ask right now, we're kind of asking just for startup costs and marketing money. We'd like to have a booth at the AFCA convention as well as the Personnel Symposium, which are 2 big college football recruiting conventions where a lot of products get sold and a lot of networks and kind of connections are formed as well.
Just a quick follow-up on the competitive advantage. If I were a savvy, app developer and had some friends and this ScoreStream allowed, the same data go to everybody, could I basically recreate what you have is what I was getting at. Do you have any exclusive data arrangement? I understand the manual savings, but is there something that if this goes well, that what would be the knockoff ability for other app developers?
I mean, to be quite frank with you, it is easy to replicate, but the difference is that we have a pretty generous and fair asking price for our software. and we have personal connections into the industry that would allow us to kind of beat out some of these more major corporations that currently exist.
What is your pricing? Sorry.
Yeah.
So we're kind of toying with that right now. It's actually something we're having an MBA team do a research project on in January. We are trying to do a package based by region. So if you want, the northeastern states, you would pay a price. If you want the southeastern states, you'd pay a price. If you want the national price, you'd pay a price. But we're currently looking in the range of $3,000 to $7,000 per package.
Is $7,000 the total package?
Annual or monthly? Sorry.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I missed that.
Sorry. Yeah, no, this is Ronnie just trying to jump in. I'm wondering if that price is annual or monthly.
It's an annual subscription fee. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks.
And what's the difference between 3 and 7? What do you get?
So 3 would be if you want New Jersey, DC, Maine, like all those kind of northern states, we would charge a lower price for those because there aren't as many football players in those states that get recruited. In the bigger states, so if you wanted Texas, Georgia, where a lot of more players are recruited from, we would raise that price. So Texas would be like a $4,000, $5,000 state, and then our national package would be kind of just a summary. But we try to price it up to make sure that you want the national price.
Why wouldn't the Stream Song guys or Stream Stack guys who just knock this off?
So that was actually a concern I had when we were on a Zoom call with them. They're also a startup. The CEO of the company is a startup guy. They've actually had people reach out to them in the past about using their data for recruiting purposes, but they've kind of turned everybody away. And we're really fortunate that they kind of saw something in us, and it's kind of a startup kind of deal. So they've been really, really kind to work with us, and I see a really good future with us in them.
What is your sales cycle like? Like, who are you selling to? How long does the process take? And then how long does implementation take?
Yeah, so we're planning on selling from January to May. That's typically kind of when college football is in its lowest workload. We are kind of planning on finalizing sales by August, and then having the product go live in August, or in that same month of August, so the high school football season would take over.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, AJ. See if I
Thank
can
you.
stop this timer.
Thanks.
That's great. Appreciate that. Excellent. So while the judges are making their final notes, I'd like for the team from Arkansas to get ready. So team from Arkansas, get ready. We'll start in just a minute. Okay, judges, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Anyone not ready? Okay, Arkansas, whenever you're ready to go, I'm ready to start.
We are ready.
Okay, you can start whenever.
Hello, everyone. Meet John. For some time now, John is suffering from pain and difficulty in carrying out daily life tasks. He consulted doctors and was diagnosed with blocked arteries. On their recommendation, he undergoes a bypass surgery to restore blood flow with the help of a vascular graft. Surgery was successful. Unfortunately, a week after the surgery, John's graft got infected, and 6 weeks later, he lost his leg. John is not alone. Out of 25 million vascular surgeries every year, 40% of the grafts fail within first year, 6 to 17% get infected, and 25 to 33% undergo additional procedures.
Amelie.
Our initial customer discovery with vascular surgeons shows that current grafts have high rates of rejection, infections, and other complications, causing suffering to the patients and costing hospitals valuable time and money. Infection is one of the major causes of graft complications, and the current alternative of antibiotic or antimicrobial loading of grafts does not prevent infections, leaving surgeons frustrated and desperate for a solution. Regen Technologies has developed that solution. Hi, I'm Asta Malhotra, the founder and CEO of Regen Technologies and the inventor of our first product. Emily Vincic is our Chief of Marketing, and Grayson Morrow is our Chief Financial Officer. And this is our experienced advisory board navigating us throughout our journey. We are a medical device company focused on improving vascular surgery outcomes, and our first product will replace current grafts and reduce vascular graft infections and failure rates. Let me introduce Sunflow, our pilot product. It is FDA F10K Class 2 medical device composed of a proprietary technology developed by us. This technology is infection resistant as compared to current synthetic grafts seen in the graph below. The microbes cannot attach to this technology. No antibiotics or antimicrobials are used in this. The antimicrobial properties are inherent to the material and design. Additionally, this resembles human blood vessels mechanically and structurally, offering the advantages of biological grafts but at low price. This reduces the graft failure rates. This technology is conformable and can be tailored to pre-designed clinical specifications. As compared to our competitors, Sunflow is infection resistant, reducing infection rates, immune to antibiotic resistant bacteria, and does not contribute to increase in rise of resistant strains. Can be stored easily and at room temperature, therefore not adding any significant cost for storage or transport. Resemble blood vessels, thus reducing complications. Additionally, to use Sunflow, surgeons do not need to change any techniques or get any special trainings. In summary, Sunflow is low cost, off-the-shelf, conformable graft with reduced rate of graft complications, resulting in less surgeries and readmissions and significant healthcare cost savings.
Broken down, our grafts can be used in the above 4 events, and within each, there is a large scope for improvement. The total global vascular market is a $3 billion market. The US is $800 million and hemodialysis $99 million. We have chosen to pilot Sunflow in the hemodialysis market because infections are most prevalent and there is a proven hunger for a better solution. We are following a well-established adoption strategy focused on surgeons and other hospital stakeholders. The emerging trends toward value-based medicine causes hospitals to seek technologies that reduce these complications. Key stakeholders like the ones we have identified here will instill trust and provide credibility for Sunflow. On average, there are 175,000 annual hemodialysis surgeries involving vascular grafts in the US. But this means that we need to sell less than 2,000 units to capture 1% of the market by 2025. At our price point, by capturing the small share of our early adopters, we will reach 1.4 million. Our go-to-market strategy follows in the footsteps of other medical device companies by starting with a small direct sales team and a regional distributor who will provide already established connections with surgeons. As we grow, we will transition to a larger national distributor.
We're currently finishing in vitro testing and will soon begin animal testing for Sunflow. This will lead us to our manufacturing and regulatory phase to prepare for and begin our clinical phase. We're pursuing grants and angel investment of $1 million to help us satisfy the costs associated with these steps. We will then seek venture capital or other forms of financing to get through clinical trials to product deployment. In summary, we're presenting a great investment opportunity to help solve a major need in a $3 billion market with a strong team and advisory board and well-positioned intellectual property. By 2028, we anticipate revenues of $87 million, representing a 2.7% share of our target market. Based on these projected revenues and comparable vascular graft technology investments and exits, we anticipate a valuation of $297 million by 2028, providing our early investors with a significant return on investment. Please join Regen Technologies as we create innovative products to improve vascular graft surgery outcomes. Thank you for your time.
Technologies. Appreciate that. Okay, judges, we'll go into our Q&A. Who wants to ask the first question?
This is Robert. How did you come up with the product? How did it start?
This is something I've been working in the regenerative medicine area for quite long, and I've been coming up with products or scaffolds to replace the artificial, to replace the parts lost during surgeries, or to create better artificial organs. Before this, I've been working in Mayo Clinic, where I was working with a laryngologist, and there I was working on trying to create artificial hemilarynxes, which are lost due to, operations of larynxes in cancers and all. So I have a background of this. And then recently I came across, when I started working in UMS, I came across this problem of blood vessels. They are there, like there are a lot of products in the market, but they still have low patencies, high graft failures and complications, and especially a lot of infection-related complications, due to which there are a lot of additional surgeries. So I started brainstorming and then started preparing some materials out of a lot of failures. I came on a product or a technology. I was successful to create a new material which has that kind of properties we are looking for. So far, it's demonstrating very good results. It's showing it's infection resistant. It's showing mechanical properties and structures similar to blood vessels.
Next question.
That's awesome. Great job. What kind of IP protection do you guys have on the product, the current product, and then what are the plans for the future and building out different products moving forward?
So right now we have forward a provisional patent, and then soon we'll be moving to the actual patent. And later on, as we move on, we keep on adding on to the further claims and patents as we keep improvising our product and technology further down the line. We also plan to aim applying for PCT so that we can capture other world markets, which are our next target after the US market. So we have that in mind.
Okay, Daryl, do you have a question?
Yes. Do you envision a more of a licensing type of structure as it relates to building out the platform, or are you considering kind of going in a different direction where you're going to develop out a direct sale to the marketplace?
So initially, we would like to develop the product further and then take to a level like do clinical trials, do small product launching where we have a small direct team, as Emily mentioned in the plans, and some regional distributors. But our eventual goal would be to finally get acquired by companies in the similar area like Limatre or Gore, which are in that area. And we can show that our product is superior than the existing products and they can acquire it. But our the overall goal of our company is to provide a platform from different technologies. So whatever revenue we would get from the sales of this product or by getting acquired, we'll reinvest in our research and come up with more technologies. And Synflow already has shown capabilities of use in other applications. So we want to keep developing more and more technologies. But we would take this product to a certain level before that.
Now, as you mentioned that it was $1 million from an initial first round. Have you done any fundraising to date? Or are you in more of where are you at in the fundraising process? Let's just say. And second to that is that clinical trial that you're working through right now. What's the time frame to get to a point where you would be kind of ready to present to the market?
Grayson?
Yeah, so we are applying for grants. We listed the SBIR and STTR. So we're still in the fundraising process. And sorry, what was your second question?
I guess my question on the fundraising side, right now you've been working with grants that have been provided for you. There's been no, initial round capital provided or investment into the company itself?
No, there is not.
And the second question was timing to the marketplace. In other words, your ask is you're looking for, or you're looking to raise $1 million. Walk through the timeline you need with that process.
Yeah, our goal is to reach market by 2024, and help. And our initial ask would get us to, before clinical trials, and then we would raise more money.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Appreciate that, Regen Technologies. Great job. Great job. Judges, make your comments. And while they're doing that, South Carolina, you're up next. So South Carolina, get ready. And following South Carolina, we'll have about a 10-minute intermission. Okay, so we'll have some time after South Carolina. So South Carolina, get ready. Judges, let me know when you're ready and we'll start.
If you don't mind resetting it. Yeah.
Okay, judges, are you about ready? Anybody not ready? Need a few more minutes? You good to go? South Carolina, are you ready?
Just verifying you're seeing the presentation deck, not the presenter view.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Then yes, we're ready to go.
Okay, ready to go? Everyone ready? Okay, South Carolina, start whenever you're ready.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Nick Jeffcoat, and this is my partner, Jonah Rothholtz. And when you think about innovation, you often think about a big solution to a big problem. But that's not always how innovation starts. Innovation usually starts as a very specific solution to a very niche problem. And we found our niche in the residential solar industry. And, well, suffice to say, they have a problem. You see, the bigger a firm gets in this industry, the higher their customer acquisition costs get. Vivint, the second largest solar company in the United States, had to pay on average about 15 grand to acquire a single customer last quarter, while smaller firms are only paying about a seventh of that. Why is that?
Well, it boils down to what we call the AdWords problem. See, Google and Facebook sell all of their ad space via an auction model. And because the solar market is unconcentrated, you have many bidders in these auctions. Many bidders leads to high prices, hence $15,000 to acquire a single customer. Yet, as Nick mentioned, small firms are paying about a seventh of that. How? Well, they use a different model. We call it the good old boys sales model, and it's going to sound pretty familiar. Salespeople build interpersonal networks, they pitch personally, then close sales and strengthen their network. Now, this approach has benefits. It's cheap, it's simple, and you get network effects because every time a sale is closed, that interpersonal network gets stronger. However, this process does not scale well. It can't leverage big data, and these things help keep firms small. So when firms get larger, they transition often to what we call the digital sales model. Starts with Google and Facebook, that duopoly, targeting ads. Ideally, those ads generate some leads, which salespeople can then reach out, pitch personally, and close sales. So this process is quite scalable, and it's fast. It also leverages big data, but it's extremely expensive. It's the primary driver behind why those customer acquisition costs are so high. And the conversion rates are very low, think around 1%. Worse still, the data is closed source, meaning that if you don't work for Google or Facebook, you have no idea how they're reaching these people or seeing any of the underlying information. So these are the only two solutions on the market, but we think we have a smarter one that can bridge the gap and make all the difference. Here's how it works. It begins with prospect identification. We use our database and algorithms to identify the businesses and individuals that can benefit most from solar. Then the system goes ahead and generates sales tools. These are essentially the information that matters most to each individual prospect. Think about annual ROI for businesses or monthly savings for homeowners. These sales tools alone are a successful standalone product for us currently generating revenue. So we identify prospects and we generate sales tools. Then salespeople are able to pitch personally, but in a way that is more informed because of those sales tools, and that's more efficient because we've already identified their prospects. Then when they close sales, the database gets stronger because we built it from the ground up to incorporate all the information they gather in the field. This is the best of both worlds. It leverages big data and interpersonal networks. It's cheap and it's scalable. Now, it's also new. So, of course, we have development costs and it takes time to onboard new partners. But we have the exact team to handle that.
Exactly. Obviously, there's myself and Jonah. Not with us today is our back-end engineer, Ian Money. And as you can see, when you're looking at this, we have the skills, the training, and the experience we need to make this work. And in fact, we already have been. We've gone through our proof of concept stage, our alpha testing. And in that alpha test, we learned that, hey, there is a lot more demand for this than we thought. Every solar company we talked to wanted this, so that's why we brought Ian on to develop a robust backend. Once that's done by the end of the year, we're hoping, we should be ready to launch, and our goal is to capture 10% of the South Carolina market by 2022. And once we've done that, work on starting to expand into other states and out of the Southeast. Joe, do you want to tell them how we're going to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So our market capture philosophy is really simple. We give all of the companies what they need, and in return, we get exactly what we need. So for growing firms, they need a process that's scalable. That good old boys model doesn't scale too well. So we bring that to them. In return, we get enormous quantities of data that no other company has access to. It's siloed across all these small companies. And of course, revenue. For established firms, their customer acquisition costs are way too high. We fix that, bringing them higher profit margins. In return, we get, well, recurring revenue and lots of it per client. To put some of this in perspective, just in South Carolina, selling a customer acquisition cost that's an order of magnitude lower than that Vivint one we talked about, 10% of the market capture here, that's $1.2 million in revenue. So we've been running some alpha trials over the past few months, and the response has been incredible. In one B2B prospecting trial that we ran, Paronimo generated prospects. The prospects generated with our system were 16 times more effective than those from digital ad campaigns. One of our early partners, Ken Yamashiro, put this really well. He said to me, if something like this existed, we'd already be using it. So we've crammed a lot of information into 5 minutes here. Let's go ahead, take another 5 minutes, open the floor for some questions.
Okay, very good. Thanks, J&R Informatics. Judges, we'll start our 5-minute timer for judges quick Q&A. Who's up with a question?
I take it that you're a software company that's providing a service. Walk us through how that works to a particular solar development company or company that may be doing installs. Talk through the price point, the structure, how do they sign up? How do you control the information so it's proprietary as opposed to just using your services for a short period of time and then not using your services? Walk us through that piece of it.
Gotcha. So there's lots of points to touch on in there, but the process starts where we reach out to a company, we figure out what their customer acquisition cost looks like right now. Say that they're relying on a heavily dispersed sales team. Okay, any data that they have, whether that's data tracked in a CRM or anything else, we take that and we cross-reference it with the data that we have. And here's a point I'd really like to emphasize. We're using this system right now as an internal tool. So we say, hey, what kind of customers are you looking for? Who have you been successful to selling in the past? All right, cool. We're going to bring you prospects that you need to reach out to and all the information you need to close them. They're not going hands-on with our tool. So that has two advantages. One, it means that we can provide this service before we have a UX, before we have a fully built out software product that we can go ahead and distribute. And two, it means that we're learning a ton from our clients because we have this very hands-on relationship. We're understanding all the information they're gathering in the field and incorporating that information.
How do you charge for that? Walk us through the price structure on that and quick, because I know we have a short period of time and there's other questions.
Okay, to be totally frank, we've run these prospecting trials thus far. We kind of just pulled numbers out of a hat. So we provided 50 B2B prospects for $550. But the thing about a database like this is that we have no marginal cost when producing these prospects. We've got the information in the database. Companies say, all right, let's see what great customers are in this database. We provide them the prospects. That doesn't cost us anything. Of course, it costs money to build the database, but say we were using Google and Facebook, every time we wanted to identify another 100 customers, we'd be paying a lot of money. So we have a ton of flexibility on pricing structure.
How do you charge for that? How do you generate revenue from that? I mean, how does it work?
They pay an upfront price per prospect. For some companies, we've considered doing what we call a price per watt model, meaning we provide them lots of prospects. They pay us a percentage of the revenue made when they sell to those prospects.
This is
John, did you have a question?
Robert. Well, go ahead.
Robert?
Go ahead, Robert.
Have you tested it and done it? I mean, what results have you had in South Carolina, and how did you get the data that you gave to those folks? So what does it look like the way you're doing it now?
Sure. So we started off with generating 50 B2B prospects for a local solar installer here in South Carolina. Now, their other option would be, okay, let's go ahead and run a bunch of digital ads. Those leads come in and then they go and close the leads, right? However, with our system, instead of just having around 1% of the people reach, actually sit down, have a meeting, have the opportunity to sell them this complex and extremely expensive thing. With our system, 16% of the people that they contacted sat down for an in-person meeting. So you're talking about a $600,000-$700,000 solar system here. But Nick, did you want to talk a bit about data? Because
yes.
For obvious reasons, we don't want to go into too much detail without NDA's public stream.
Yeah, absolutely. So our data streams, most of what we acquire is obviously relevant to the specific industry. However, again, because of the fact that this is a public stream, we don't really want to get into our data sources. Most of this stuff, nobody else could do this without taking a lot of time to build it out and knowing this is exactly what they need.
Is the long-term plan to build out a software platform that you then charge a subscription for? And then,
absolutely.
And then will you guys be housing all of the data, and as each new customer comes in, it then helps everyone? Or are these individual customers getting some sort of advantage and not giving away, certain prospects to other companies? Like how do you choose who gets access to what data?
Great question. So when we collect any data from any company, right? Obviously, we're not letting any other company know, hey, these are who your prospects are. On the other hand, there are insights that are more generalizable that aren't revealing what company has talked to who or who has what insights. Nick, were there a couple things you wanted to mention about that as well?
So essentially, we are going to end up, we have developed a first party database. We're not going to be giving companies access to all of the data. We're just going to be giving them leads that our algorithms have determined fit their specific salespeople the best. Now, admittedly, we're going to be using the data on previous sales from across all of our customers to refine the algorithms, but we are not giving any other customers.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you, South Carolina. That was fantastic. And thank you to the first three teams presenting. Now we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll start back here at 10:31. So contestants, judges, make sure you're back here within the next 10 minutes, and we'll see you in just a few. Hey, welcome back. Just finished the 10-minute intermission, and now we're ready to continue on with pitch group number 1. Next up is the team from Alabama. So can you get set up, Alabama?
Yep.
And let me know when you're ready. Judges, are you ready? All the judges ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alabama, whenever you're ready to go with Reboot Reforestation, just start, and I'll start the timer when you start.
Great, thank you. Hi, my name is Dalton Morris.
And I'm Michael Malone.
And we are 2 of the 4 co-founders of Reboot Reforestation, a drone company dedicated to reforestation and conservation. Reboot Reforestation aims to monitor and to identify threats to ecosystems and to rebuild natural habitats using sustainable drone technology. Our journey began 1 year ago when we were discussing the pressing issues facing our generation. We were troubled by climate change, habitat loss, and the increasing number of endangered species. So we decided to do something about it. We conducted 54 interviews of the logging industry, reforestation companies, nonprofits, nurseries, and data scientists. We identified 4 main pain points in the reforestation and conservation industry: costly reforestation, inefficient restoration, low data collection, and difficulty monitoring invasive species. Reforestation is slow, costly, and labor intensive. It uses large machines, which damages the soil. Restoration and data collection of grassland, marshland, and coastal estuaries are slow and costly. Additionally, invasive species cost the US economy $100 billion a year, which includes crops, forests, and wildlife. Monitoring invasive species is labor intensive, costly, and difficult. Reboot Reforestation will use drone technology to quickly collect multispectral data and to efficiently restore ecosystems for private landowners, conservation organizations, and land trusts. We will implement 2 drones, a reforestation drone and a surveying drone. The reforestation drone will deliver seed balls to deforested areas and to scatter seeds to restore grassland, wildflowers, and marshland. The surveying drone will be utilized to perform vegetation analysis, identify invasive species, survey land, and monitor controlled burns.
Our value proposition is to decrease the cost of restoration by 30 to 70%, restore ecosystems 25 times faster, and reduce labor costs by 96%, all while minimizing soil compaction and erosion. Our surveying drones will speed up data collection 200 times, decrease surveying labor costs by 92%, and collect consistent and precise data. A single drone can survey 250 acres per hour, which speeds up data collection compared to crews 200-fold. A single drone can save 200 to 400 hours of labor per day. In the Southeast, approximately 856,000 acres are planted each year by the logging industry. Our revenues from capturing 1% of this reforestation market will amount to $770,000. In the conservation industry, the Nature Conservancy and the World Resources Institute lead the Reforestation Accelerator, which aims to reforest 370 million acres by 2030. Also, our data collection business line will tap into the $17.1 billion environmental monitoring industry. Reboot Reforestation has a competitive pricing system. Typically, restoration costs are $100 to $200 per acre. However, we can do the same job faster, cheaper, and with less labor. Our price points for the reforestation and restoration services are $90 and $80 per acre, respectively. Data collection will be charged at $150 per hour plus data processing time. The average gross margin per unit for reforestation and restoration is 52%, and our primary source of revenue, data collection, is 85%. Our capital needs include funds to use at our test site at Coldwater Gardens, a UAV glider, the Parrot Sequoia multispectral sensor, producing an MVP seed scattering device, purchasing data processing software, and hiring a data scientist. Our total capital need is $67,000. We are Reboot Reforestation. Thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
Okay, judges, we'll start the timer. Thank you, Reboot Reforestation.
Hi guys, great job. For seed dispersal through a drone, is that proven as effective when you just drop seeds as opposed to planting them? Like, what is the effectiveness of doing that? Do you have to drop just a ton of seeds?
I'm very glad you asked about this. We're using two techniques for our restoration for seeds. First is seed balls. So it's balls of clay, soil, seeds, and ash, and we bake them. And it creates a protective coating around the seeds, which protects from predators, locks in moisture, and makes sure they don't roll away in the wind. So that we hope that this process will increase the rate of germination compared to traditional seed scattering techniques.
Have you tested it?
Yes, we have two test sites. We tested our first one in April of this year. However, due to vegetation, they were outcompeted. So 2 months ago, we formed a partnership with Coldwater Gardens, and we did a 5-acre test site where we planted roughly 2,000 seed balls. And then from there, we're going back within the next month to assess the germination rate as well as next spring.
That's on the balls themselves. I understand. Have you created a little patent technology associated with the balls too?
Yeah, well, the actual technique of creating the seed balls aren't patentable. This technique has been used for hundreds of years in Africa where it's very dry. So it is a common technique and it has been proven.
I guess it's more of the distribution of it. In other words, through the technology of the drone. Can you speak to the drone itself and kind of the design factor, the types of drones? You know, drones, I'm a little familiar with drones. And by the way, I've heard your pitch before, so I have a little bit more knowledge on it. And my question really came down to, you know, power to the drones. You know, these drones with batteries, and you know, there's just a short life expectancy for usage. Talk through that drone and the application itself, and where you're at with the drone.
Yes, that's very true. Traditionally, drones can't fly for that long and they can't carry that much weight. However, we did form a strategic partnership with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Research Center in Mississippi, and they're currently developing an all-electric heavy lift drone that can fly for an hour and carry 20 pounds. So we signed a contract with them where we'll be able to use their technology and they'll be able to use our technology to reforest and to restore ecosystems. So their drone, they're actually creating a second version of it, which will be able to fly for 2 hours and carry 20 pounds as well. So by making this partnership with NOARC, we've been able to save 5 years of research and development and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I have a quick question on the sales pitch. Is there any regulatory tie-in that forces the log companies to want to do this? I mean, I could see the idea that they want to replenish land, leave it well, but what's the hurt if they decide to do a poor job here?
Michael, would you like to answer this one?
Yeah. So what type of companies were you?
I'm saying that your customer, the people that buy your reforestation restoration project, work services and data services, what's their penalty for doing it wrong or doing it poorly?
Well, in the logging industry, when they cut down trees, they're required to reforest a certain amount. So there's that. And then like organizations like the Nature Conservancy, they need to collect a lot of data to make informed decisions about invasive species. So
could this be a compliance business is my real question, instead of try to sell to the customer to do the right thing?
I don't know. I need to do some research on that. That's a good question.
That's a very good point. I think you're too cheap on the $150 an hour price point at that, you know, I mean, based on the data you're collecting, because a large portion of your revenue is derived from your data that you're sharing. But John, I think you're right on the compliance side. Very interesting.
Let me ask you, why would, again, we get to a place, why wouldn't a tree company or a conservancy agency just not do this themselves?
Right. So right now, they relied on migrant workers to reforest, and there's a labor shortage. So our product would help meet the need the lack of supply of labor.
How many
Additionally,
acres? How many acres can you cover with one 20 or the new drone technology? How many acres?
one
And how
drone,
long?
one drone for 1 hour can cover 250
Well,
acres.
that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Reboot Reforestation from the University of
Thank you.
Alabama. Judges, give you a few moments to make your notes, any notes you need to make. And while the judges are finishing up, Florida, can you start getting ready? University
Yep,
of
I'm good to
Florida.
go.
Okay. Just a couple of minutes for the judges to make any notes.
And you can hear me okay right now?
Can hear you fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Judges, you about ready to go?
Just a second. Give us, if you don't mind, a minute. Okay.
We're the And next up, we have Sheldon with Coco Vana. But just a second, Sheldon, while we wait for the judges to get ready.
Sure, no problem.
Judges, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Robert.
John, I'm good.
Ready.
Daryl, everybody ready?
Ready.
Very good. Okay, Sheldon with Coco Vana, University of Florida. Whenever you're ready, you can start, and I'll start the timer then.
Hi, I'm Sheldon Barrett. So bottled coconut water sales are skyrocketing, making it the fastest growing beverage right now in the world. It's grown to over $1 billion of an industry just here in the United States alone. But the problem is that most bottled coconut water is pasteurized, which destroys nutrition and alters the taste. This is not the case for fresh coconuts, but chopping them open is very dangerous. It's very messy. You spill coconut water everywhere, and it requires substantial spills. So I started this company a few years ago when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. At that time, the medications my doctors prescribed did not lower my blood pressure enough. But what did help was to also drink fresh coconut water because of its high levels of potassium and vitamin C. Living in South Florida, I had the coconut trees in the front yard, and my dad would use this machete to chop them open. But when he wasn't home, I couldn't drink my own fresh coconut water. So I created Coconut Twist. Coconut Twist is the can opener for coconuts. It cuts a 1-inch hole into the coconut safely in seconds. It's portable, it's durable, and it doesn't create a mess. It also cores fruits, open wine bottles, but the best part is that the utility patent has been granted. Now, when we look at our first competitor, Coconut Knife here, it only works on the youngest coconuts. It breaks on mature coconuts, and you have to use a straw, meaning you can't pour rum into your coconuts, which sucks. So for Coconut Jack, it only works on the Thai coconuts. It's not too different from a machete and is very loud and difficult to use. But regardless, they did $325,000 in their first 9 months just from their website alone, showing the demand for coconut products like this. Luckily, their deal with Mr. Mark Cuban didn't go through, so I don't have to compete with a billionaire. So all across the board, Coconut Twist dominates on durability, opening all types of fresh coconuts. It's safe, requires low strength, and it's portable, meaning retail shelf space is obtainable. So the first 1,000-unit batch has been completed in China, and I am awaiting a production sample. If approved, I will have an expected launch of December 2020 of this year. Other products has already been developed to expand our product line, but the big focus right now is on launching Coconut Twist properly. So first, we'll be launching on cocovana.com and amazon.com, where our supply chain will first be tested. And I have 900 plus pre-orders for that. And then we'll be reaching back out to Whole Foods and Kroger, who I've already successfully pitched in the past. But the breaking news is that Cocovana has just advanced to phase 2 of the Making It with Lowe's contest, meaning Cocovana is going to become a product vendor for Lowe's, getting distribution, marketing, as well as retail advising from them. So for online marketing, we're going to be focusing it on health because the biggest trend in the food and beverage industry is naturality. Facebook ads will be used to target our primary market segments to help drive customers to cocovana.com for conversions, and distribution will be handled by Fulfillment by Amazon, FBA. For retail marketing, we'll use a point of sales marketing approach to educate the customer because they don't know that white thing over there on the right sold in all the Whole Foods across the country is a coconut. And we do this by having a printout that says coconut plus coconut twist equals coconut water. And this is allowed by managers. For distribution, we're going to use companies with pre-existing ties, which includes Fortune Fish Co., who has a 7% markup for distribution. We also will use obvious plastic packaging that tells the customer exactly what the product is without them having to read anything. And the product placement will be right next to those fresh coconuts right in the produce section. For a management team, it's just me as of right now, the 2018 University of Florida Student Entrepreneur of the Year. I have a background in engineering and I've been in Forbes, Inc. magazine, as well as ABC News. But I know you can't run a company all by yourself. So in year 2, I'll be adding a sales and marketing role, an operating role for supply chain and logistics, and a finance role. For advisory board, we have my mentor, Mr. Mike DeLaser. He is the co-founder of Redbox, and he'll be funding future purchase orders for a 5% fee going forward, allowing me to grow this company as quickly as possible without having to give up equity. We also have Mr. John Edwards, store manager for Whole Foods, Robert Valeria, corporate Kroger buyer in Cincinnati, Don Kiefer, Publix buyer for over 30 years, Mike Chu, my sourcing agent overseas, and Julie Ackman of Capital Technology, who sells in big box retailers. So I can manufacture a coconut twist for $7 and I can either wholesale it for $17, giving me a 59% margin, or I can retail it for $30, giving me a 77% margin. Our 2 customer markets served are retailers B2C and direct consumers B2C, where our target market is a health conscious consumers between the ages of 18 to 45, as well as those of the Hispanic and Asian population. I have a market potential of $828 million. In year 1, we'll be launching Coconut Twist online and in retail in Florida and the Midwestern United States. And it has a very conservative revenue of $162,000, which is just 50% that of Coconut Jacks. Year 2, we expand the product line with Coconut Slice and go to New York City, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. And in year 3, we expand the product line even further and go after the remaining metropolitan areas. So 20% of revenue is going to go towards sales and marketing, where salaries are going to be taken in year 2 when the team is expanded. And also office space will be leased in year 2 as well. I'm asking $125,000 for 20% in equity for Cocovana. And that's going to be used for sales and marketing budget, as well as general administrational expenses. And it's a great investment because the Coconut Twist is a revolutionary new tool that will change the way the world opens coconuts forever. Thank you. Cocovana, create your paradise.
Stop this. And judges, who's got a question for Sheldon, University of Florida, Cocovana?
I have a question. This is John Reinhardt. So you have a number of devices that you mentioned in your exec summary and that you've again reiterated here in your pro forma. The question is, are those all under a same legal entity? Or are you going to do separate ownership of each of those devices? And can you give us a little update on where the other ones stand in terms of patent pending?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, those are all going to be underneath the Cocovana brand, of course. They won't be in a separate entity or anything like that at all. Yeah, there has been some that has been filed for patents right now. The coconut machine, the commercial coconut machine that is used for the retailers, also the bars and restaurants. There is a finished prototype. I'm looking at it right over there, but the patent is filed and I can't really show it as of right now for it. For Coconut Slice, prototypes have been formed, but the patent hasn't been filed on those. And that's the reason I can't show it, because patents are just so expensive. And I have all the money right now in Coconut Twist and production for that and patents for that. But yeah, the machine has a filed patent for it. The rest of them doesn't have it yet because I need to afford it. And right now the focus is on launching one product right, as opposed to all of those incorrectly.
And a quick follow-up, your executive summary talks about other fruit, not just coconuts that are applicable. Can you comment on the other fruits? And because I think limited application devices, it's kind of like one-hit wonders. There needs to be some scalability across not just multiple devices, but I think multiple produce to get a consumer interested. Can you?
Yeah. So right out of the bat, Coconut Twist will core like pears and apples because they're short enough. It could also do pineapples if you want to carve it up, but it does have a wholesale that can be taken off and interchangeable. So we can have a longer one in the future that's meant directly for the pineapples as well. So yeah, it can, go after multiple tools right now, but the main focus right now was on the coconut industry because there's no one really in that space as of right now. But once I get into stores, then I can start selling the different attachments for different fruits, to have all those different applications for it.
Thank you.
This is Robert. Your market in year 2 or 3 was $1 million in sales. Is that what it was?
I think it was less than that. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
1 second.
So what I'm getting at is there
500.
a way to make a living doing this?
Yeah. There is definitely a way to make a living doing this. You know, in year 2, that's when I put in the financials of taking like a salary, and even with the salary taken out and all those different roles that I wanted to add to expand the team, you know, it's still $88,000 profitable in that regard. You know, and then it balloons further once we expand the product line even further and expand into more retailers as well. So yes, when I ran the financials and I did the math for it, yeah, you can make a great living. And Coconut Jack had made a great living off of that. You know, right out of the bat, doing 325,000 in 9 months just from the website alone, not even in retailers at all, just online without spending a dime in marketing. So yeah, there's a huge demand for it right now, and you can definitely make a living off of it.
This is Daryl. What's the product made of? I mean, what is the device? Walk us through that.
Great question. So it's made out of food grade zinc die cast for the body. So it's all metal design, electroplated so that it won't rust or anything like that. It wouldn't have rust regardless. And the hole saw here is actually one of the biggest kickers for it, because the hole saw is made out of surgical stainless steel. It's like a blend of it that you have to do custom right now. The only industry doing this right now in the world is the medical industry. And they sell these hole saws for like $1,000 because they machine it out of a solid block of metal. I had the engineering task to try to figure out, how do you do this in mass production? How do you do it with tubing? So right now I figured out how to do that overseas, got the supplier to actually do it properly with the right type of alloy without them trying to cheat me with cheap stainless steel. So I'm the only person in the world mass producing stainless steel hole saws right now, because they can't do that in the medical industry. It's too expensive, you know, to do it this way for them, and they have to have it all made out of one piece. But I figured out how to make it out of tubing instead. So yeah, this is premium surgical stainless steel.
Sheldon.
Well, let me ask you, isn't there a different market possibly for that?
There's definitely one. Some of my advisors in the medical industries, you know, they do want me to go into the medical industry as of right now. But the patent that I got, you know, is really for coconuts at this stage. And, you know, I'm really excited about going into retailers and working with that and try to, you know, promote drinking coconut water, just because it's helped me so much for health. I've lost 50 pounds, you know, just having a healthy diet, going pescatarian and everything like that, and drinking coconut water. So I really want to get that there. But maybe in the future, I could go after that medical industry for sure.
Super quick. Have you raised any money in the past? And yeah, we'll start there.
No, I've ran this company like super lean, all out of pocket right now, just winning a few competitions just to get to production. But no, I still own 100% equity in the company as of right now. So I haven't raised any in the past.
Got it. And then what is the life of one device? How long should one person be able to keep that? Is the idea to keep selling them on the different attachments?
Oh, we're out of time. Sorry, Ronnie. Coco Vanna, great. Thank you. Good job, Sheldon. Judges, you can take your notes. Next up will be Tennessee. Tennessee, be getting ready while the judges complete their notes from Florida and the earlier competitions. Tennessee, get ready. Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready when y'all are.
Okay, Tennessee, are you about ready?
I'm ready.
All right, judges, you ready? Anybody not ready?
Let's go.
Okay, Tennessee, you start whenever you want, and I'll start the timer when you begin your presentation.
Great. Meet Justin and Sean's. These men explained to me the frustrations of finding functional clothing and opened my eyes to the fact that getting dressed is not always an easy act. I was shocked by this realization, but as I began looking deeper into this problem, I found that function alone is not the only missing piece. There are millions of people looking for clothing that is just as fashionable as it is functional. Soon after learning this, I was diagnosed with a rare genetic mutation and could relate personally to the need for functional fashion. By listening to the stories of hundreds of people, we have found a hole in the fashion industry and are filling it with a fully adaptive fashion line for adults. My name is Mary Kate Brakefield, and I'm the co-founder of Brakefields. Fashion may seem like a frivolous industry, but our clothing choices hold incredible weight. Fashion is how we communicate ourselves visually to the world. It facilitates social interaction, boosts confidence, and provides an outlet for creative expression. We have created a fashionable line to effectively address the fact that millions of people are unable to access these powerful attributes. Our initial collection includes the shirt you see here, and I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I can show you in person. From the outside, this is simply a cute top. Our goal will always be that unless you need our adaptive features, you won't even know they're there. But if you look a little closer, there are actually 10 specific features that make this top more universally accessible. That includes our patent-pending dual access pocket technology for devices like an insulin pump, and our Velcro closures that make getting dressed easy, even with limited dexterity. Each of our products come from hours of work, thought, and research. But on the customer's end, it couldn't be more simple. They purchase a fashionable garment and it fits. We all know someone with a disability. Brakefields is initially choosing to serve a subset of the functional fashion market with a compound annual growth rate of 4%. This creates an $80 billion market in 5 years. Our market estimate is factored for target disabilities, plus fashion consciousness and disposable income. There is ample room for Brakefields to enter the adaptive market. We differ from our closest competitor through our customizable hem options and patent-pending pocket technology. Plus, we simply have a different style. If you are an able-bodied person, you have thousands of brands to choose from. People with disabilities deserve to have choices too, and we can provide that. Our management team and advisors have distinct capabilities. I am the CEO, and our creative director is Stephanie Brakefield. We both have prior experience with retail startups, the creativity to design desirable, fashion-forward products, and the business acumen to see Brakefields to success. In addition, we have gathered a comprehensive team of advisors who are experts in their fields, including Scott Rowe, CFO of the 10th largest apparel retailer in the world, and Myra Loveday, former Buyer of the Year for Saks Fifth Avenue. Both Brakefields and our manufacturing partner are headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee. Through our market research, we have found that many of our customers have found community with other people with similar disabilities. Whether this is through an adaptive sports team, a Facebook group, or simply following disabled influencers on Instagram, these groups all have the ability to quickly spread the word about disability representation. We will build off of our already established relationships to make sure Brakefields products are a part of these conversations. We also have specific plans to reach customers through both digital and physical channels. Our team designs specifically with disability in mind, but externally, our customers will see a truly inclusive brand. We hear over and over how desired our products are among people with no medical considerations. Rather than create more division with separate departments for different customers, we embrace true inclusion and welcome people of all body types to shop together and enjoy the benefits of functional fashion. This marketing message will be clear through our use of inclusive language and imagery in company media. We operate on an e-commerce made-to-order model that offers customers more customizable clothing and allows us to avoid inventory risk. We guarantee our customers will receive their order within 14 days. We expect to reach over $2.5 million in revenue by our 5th year of operations. With custom ordering and outsourced manufacturing, we achieve a steady gross margin in the mid-60s and build a very healthy return on the invested capital of $80,000 we raise in year 1. You can help us grow a functional fashion label that will be sustainable. The money from this competition will help us serve the customers that can't wait to finally have functional fashion options. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mary Caton, University of Tennessee, Brakefields. Judges, who's got a question?
I do. How do you do sizing, and how many products are in the line currently?
Our initial line is a 5-piece capsule collection. Our sizing is actually something that sets us apart from other competitors. Many of the times we hear that people are unable to shop in store because the stores are not accessible, and they're not able to shop online because the sizing charts aren't made for people with disabilities. So by offering sizing charts that have been measured on people with a variety of body types, we're able to ensure satisfied customers that can more accurately guess their size.
So do you have any kind of notation on the product of what kind of friendly it is? So for instance, I have a 30-year-old son who has cerebral palsy. He's always looking for style, but he would be a male, I guess lower extremity impaired. How would he know sort of what is right for him in the line?
Absolutely. So that will be part of our website building as well. We will make sure that you can search by feature. And so if you, for instance, have issues with your lower extremities, you're able to search for garments that are wide enough to get around ankle braces, or that you can change the hem length on. So you'll be able to search by your needs specifically.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
What is the go-to-market strategy? Is it purely a direct-to-consumer play with the website?
It is at this time. We are, of course, looking at all opportunities. Zappos actually has an adaptive section of their website. And so if we wanted to go the wholesaling route, there's options there. We also have enough of a gross margin that remains a possibility down the road.
How are you manufacturing pieces, pardon me, now in supplying them to people in 14 days? How does that work?
So we are partnering with On Point Manufacturing, which is headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, and their manufacturing plant is in Florence, Alabama. They have a purchase activated model. So the customer will go to our website, place their order. That order will be sent to the factory and custom made right then. They also offer drop shipping. So it really streamlines the entire process and gets that product to the customer sooner.
And what are your margins like?
We have gross margin in the 60%.
Who else has a question?
I do think that the disabled market is a large age population differentiation between the elderly infirmed and the younger disabled. Is that going to be, how do you take into account the styling issues of that sort of generational differentiation?
Exactly. So there are some companies like Silverts that are already covering the elderly population. And then there's companies like Target and Kohl's that are targeting children. But no one is really doing a lot of business in that middle age range. And that's where we want to come in. Tommy Hilfiger has an adaptive line that they've done a great job with, but we offer a new style perspective. And like I mentioned earlier, people deserve choices. You get to choose from thousands of brands when you decide what you want to wear today. Right now, people in our age group with a disability only have one option. So we want to enter and provide more options for this population.
And what would you say the age group is, please?
Approximately 25 to 45. Just for reference too, Target's Cat and Jack line, which is their adaptive line for children, did $2 billion of revenue in their very first year in 2017. And those kids aren't just disappearing. So it's not like they age out of the clothing that Target has to offer and then just no longer have a disability. We want to come in and serve that market as they grow older and need a different clothing option.
You mentioned you have 5 SKUs. What are they tailored towards? Are they more everyday wear, kind of more, I know family members with disability, they're doing a lot of physical, kind of rehab, etc. Walk us through kind of the different SKUs.
Definitely. So we have 2 skirt options. One that is a pleated skirt, which I actually have the sample of here. So this is one of our other skirts. It has the same fabric quality as the rest of our options. It has built-in shorts underneath, and then it has our patent pending pocket here in the back. We also have a pencil skirt, a pair of wide leg pants, the wrap top that you saw today, and a wrap dress. So we are focused on ready to wear, but we love color, we love print. And so there will be a range of fabric options for each SKU, and that will help customers be able to purchase more from us and have more options for the different activities they're going throughout their week.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Judges, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Breakfields from the University of Tennessee. While the judges are making their notes, Auburn, Zach, you're up next. You can start getting ready, and we'll start in just a minute.
Yes, sir. How's everybody doing?
Good. Good. Auburn, hold on a second. Let's let the judges let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
Judges are ready. All right.
I'm ready.
Auburn, you ready?
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and share my
Okay.
screen real quick.
Auburn, you're up. Start when you're ready.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Zach Young, and I'm the president and founder of Vulcan Line Tools. Vulcan Line Tools was founded in 2019 by myself with the goal of revolutionizing a $407 billion per year industry. That's the electric utility industry. Electric utilities are companies like Alabama Power and Georgia Power. Yeah, so right now the problem in the electric utility industry is that most of the power lines they construct are not constructed to the standards of which they were designed. Now, not only does this violate the National Electrical Safety Code, which they're required by law to adhere to, it also exposes these utilities to huge liability
if one of their power lines comes crashing down. For an example, Pacific Gas and Electric was recently ordered to pay $11 billion for their role in the starting the Camp Fire that killed 85 people in California. And all of that could be traced back to one incorrectly built power line. Yeah, so here's an example of the workflow in the industry today that really highlights what the problem is. So starting off, you'll have an engineer at an electric utility who designs a new power line. On his design sheet, the engineer has specifically listed the exact sag and tension that the power line must be built at a certain temperature in order for it to be built correctly. So once the engineer designs this power line, he hands the design sheet to line crews who are tasked with going out in the field and constructing this power line. Now, this is where the problem arises. These line crews do not have an easy method of measuring the sag, tension, and temperature in a power line while they're building it. Because they can't measure sag, tension, and temperature easily, they're not able to build this power line according to specs. This is because the current methods of measuring sag, tension, and temperature are expensive, they're slow, and they're a burden on the workflow. And so what normally happens is these line crews don't use any of these methods. They simply eyeball the power line, and therefore the power line is installed incorrectly. This is what happens when you install a power line with too much tension. This power line broke right here and landed on this car. Here's a video showing what happens when you install a power line with too little tension, meaning it sags too low. This power line snagged a box truck.
It's captured on dash cam video. Watch as the truck snags an overhead wire pulling down a utility.
Yep, so they're lucky that no one was killed there. All right, so in essence, these line crews need an easy method of measuring sag, tension, and temperature in power lines so that the power line they construct is the power line that was designed. That brings us to our solution. It's the device I've been working on for 2 years. It's called the Wave Timer. The Wave Timer is the fastest, lightest, and easiest method of measuring sag, tension, and temperature in power lines while you're building it. In fact, it's the only device on the market that can measure all three of those in one unit. Here's a video of the Wave Timer in action. Grab the Wave Timer firmly around the case, pull down rapidly, release quickly, and after 5 seconds, the sag in the conductor will be displayed on the application. Here, we can see that this conductor currently has 61 inches of sag. Yep, so if you're a lineman out in the field, all you do is strap the Wave Timer around the power line, make sure it's connected to the Wave Timer application, pull it, and 5 seconds later, you've got sag, tension, and temperature displayed on the application. From there, you would compare it to the design sheet, and you would either tighten up the power line or loosen it until it got into spec. We'll talk a little bit about the competitors right now. As you can see, the Wave Timer is the only device on the market that measures sag, tension, and temperature in one unit. It also has the ability to log data, which is huge for electric utilities. That way, in a court of law, they can prove that the power line they constructed was the power line that was designed. Also, one of the biggest advantages of the Wave Timer over other methods is the speed. The Wave Timer measures all three of those data points in 5 seconds. The next fastest is around 15 minutes. Just for reference, for every 30 minutes that a line crew is on the job, it costs the power company about $375. As you can see down at the bottom, the Wave Timer is also a lot cheaper than all the other methods. As far as current users go, the Wave Timer is currently being tested by 2 industry leaders. Alabama Power and Georgia Power both have units. Mr. Shaney felt from Alabama Power, he's over training there. He called me the other day, so they had a power line they'd had problems with. They spent about 30 minutes using traditional methods. They came out with 153 inches of sag. He said he put the Wave Timer up there, hit it. It hit 153 inches on the dot in 5 seconds. He told me he was sold. Finally, we'll talk about our revenue models and financial projections. Vulcan Line Tools estimates there's roughly 63,000 line trucks in the United States, and we believe that we can put a Wave Timer unit on every single one of those trucks. If we can capture 25.5% of the market by year 3, we'll have a gross margin of $8.4 million. Thank you guys for your time. Here's my contact information, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic, Zach. Thanks. Vulcan Line Tools. Okay, judges, who has questions for Zach and University of Auburn?
How did you come up with the idea of this? Is your dad a lineman?
Yes, sir. So my dad, he wasn't a lineman. He was in the industry for pretty much his entire life. He told me, he said, look, there's a big disconnect between what the engineers are designing out there and then what's actually being built. And, that's part of the reason that a lot of these power lines are, there's problems with them.
I'm in the construction industry, and I know for a fact that proving that you've built something correctly to spec okay, is an important part of the process. And when you go back to the revenue portion, what would the total revenue be if you hit every truck? And could you sell this as a tool that you don't sell it, that you license it or something? I mean, is it a patentable thing where you can control it and get fees for using it?
Yes, sir. So that's something we've looked at. We've looked at selling it as a one-time price versus leasing it out to these utilities. That's still up for debate. As far as how much, if we capture the entire market, we're looking at around $70 million, I believe, in gross margin right there. Yes, sir.
The other judges that know more about licensing and things like this, what are your all's thoughts?
I think it's a great point. I think the idea of reoccurring business model, the big issue here is an update issue, right? So you go to an obsolescence issue and the software can be updated, but that almost lends itself to a SaaS model where the device is almost given out for the subscription to track the data. I think the compliance issue is, again, another very pertinent issue in this model.
How does that compare to the other competitors in the marketplace? I mean, are they just selling a device at $3,300 or whatever that price point was?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they're just selling it as a base cost, $3,300 per unit, and then as far as licensing goes, no. And this really is an industry that has not really been tapped into yet. Those other devices are not specifically meant for the electric utility industry, whereas the wave timer was designed with the sole purpose of being used in the electric utility industry.
What did you say the crew time was when they're measuring it the way they do it now per hour, or what was that?
So if they're doing it now, usually they just eyeball it. If they use one of those current methods, they're roughly 15 to 30 minutes. And for every 30 minutes of work that's saved, it's $375 saved by the power company. And the wave timer does it in 5 seconds.
I think, Robert, you know this being in the pipe business as far as tolerance and testing a pipe. My question would really be, how do you navigate around the liability of a new product to the marketplace and, a power company taking and making a commitment they're going to go with this product, over, say, a tested product or, say, a bigger brand with a bigger, kind of insurance policy around it?
We just did this, and we got involved with Louisiana Tech in a mechanical joint that you push together. So you just find a university, and he might know them already, that's involved in the power industry and help support it. And then you just set up a test with them, and they'll be eager to do it because that's their job, right? And so it's very doable. And anybody out there on the sales side, a company, a utility could go out and prove that they've done something correctly. So that's kind of the model. And how do you license it, so that you just don't sell your product and it be over?
Yep.
Or you price it in the point that the other guys are just below it. You have 5 seconds on it. So you beat them at their sales price, match their sales price, but give them a product that has 5 seconds to do it as opposed to 30 minutes.
So real quick, 2 things. One of the main reasons that they're not using those dynamometers and the other methods is because of how expensive they are. So that was why we priced it a little lower. Also, let's see that's our main reason right there. Also, I remember the point I was going to make. So this will be sold as a quote instrument. So it will have to be calibrated every year. So that is one of the things that we're adding as far as recurring revenue, just to make sure that the accelerometers and temperature sensors are all correct and firmware is updated.
And what would a recalibration be?
We're looking at around $50 per unit.
Okay, you should charge more than that. You've got a nice product. You've got a market, and I don't know enough about licensing and those other things to be helpful, but I know you really accomplished something. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Zach with Auburn. Thank you, everyone. That concludes round 1 for Pitch Group 1. Thank you very much, judges, for being with us this morning. Judges, at this time, you're going to drop off of this Zoom link and join the judges' deliberation Zoom link. and just wait in the deliberations Zoom call until a moderator arrives to provide further instructions. So judges, you can go head off. For the rest of you, we have messages from our prior winners, Buzz Bassador and Yellow Card. And we'll start rolling that. See you in the Zoom deliberation room. And the rest of you here, the prior winner well wishes.
Are we going to? Oh.
Everyone, we are the Buzz Bassador team. My name is Shelly Baldwin. I'm the co-founder and CMO of Buzz Bassador.
And I'm Brandon Johns. I'm the COO and also a co-founder of Buzz Bassador. Calvin Waddy is a CEO. He was actually not able to make it, but he was also another co-founder.
Yeah. So the three of us are co-founders. Brandon and I are the ones that actually pitched last year at the SEC pitch competition. Calvin wasn't eligible because he had graduated a little bit too early. But Brandon and I were both students, and I graduated in August of last year. And Brandon is actually still in school and graduating this December. And what your degree is in management, right? Yeah, his degree's in management, mine's in marketing, and Calvin's is in business administration. So that's a little bit about us. We're from Mississippi State University. And basically just an overview on what Buzz Bassador is. If any of you are unfamiliar, it is an CRM-like software platform for e-commerce merchants that automates influencer marketing. So brand ambassador programs, affiliate programs, all that type of like word of mouth marketing. Basically, we plug into Shopify, and we're a Shopify app. And so any e-commerce merchant that uses Shopify to run their store can add our app and use it to automate everything about their influencer marketing program. So onboarding ambassadors, creating their referral codes, tracking the sales that they bring in, that whole thing. So that's what we pitched last year. And actually when we pitched last year, we were just a private app. We already had revenue, but we weren't being publicly sold on any app store or anything like that. And since we pitched last year, we actually launched on the Shopify App Store in January. And so that has been really exciting for us. A little bit about our founder story, which we talked about in our pitch, is that we actually started out with our own Shopify stores and we're running them. And that's how we found the problem that influencer marketing and ambassadors are extremely hard to manage. And so that's what gave us the idea for Buzz Bassador. And so it's kind of a cool full circle moment that we started out with our own Shopify stores, and now we're a Shopify app that's helping other Shopify stores. So that's one really exciting development that's happened since the SEC pitch competition. Since the SEC, we've onboarded over 1,000 Shopify merchants onto our app. Our revenue has grown a lot. And it's definitely been hard with COVID. I know you guys can tell we have a virtual background. We're working from home virtually in Starkville, Mississippi. And so that's where Mississippi State University is. And that's where we're at right now. We've actually raised another round of funding and everything's just going really well. And actually this week we're pitching at Venture Atlanta, which is the Southeast's largest technology and startup conference. And we were the first Mississippi company to ever be selected for that opportunity. So we have a lot of exciting things going for us, and it's all going really well. And we really feel like the SEC pitch competition really propped us up and put us in a great position to have the success that we've seen so far, especially when we're implementing the feedback that the judges gave us. We made some really great connections with the judges, and they gave us a lot of feedback from all the different pitches that we did, and we maintained our connections with them and really worked on the things that they told us, and that's helped us a lot. So that's one of my biggest tips for you guys. Is I'm not sure how the formatting is going to be set up this year, but we pitched to multiple different groups of judges, including the semifinals rounds and the finals round. So if it's the same thing this year, I really hope that you guys take their feedback to heart and really take notes and implement those things when you're done. Another one of my tips is go in humble and open-minded and with no expectations. That's what we did. I mean, Brandon can attest to that. We literally, the whole drive up to Auburn, which is where the competition was last year, we were like, our stomach were in knots. We were so nervous. We were just like, we don't know how this is going to go. It was our first real big pitch for Buzz Bassador because we had just kind of gotten started earlier that year. And so we never really pitched it on a stage like that before. And we were super nervous. And then we heard all the other companies' pitches and they were really good. And we were like, okay, we're not going to get anything. Like, this is going to be fun. We're going to learn, but we're not going to win anything. And then we ended up winning literally every award. We won the elevator pitch, we won the semifinals, and then we won the finals. And so we were just shocked. And it kind of gave us this on top of the world feeling and this confidence that we didn't necessarily have before in our pitching skills and also just our business overall. And so if you go in with no expectations and just let yourself be blown away by how great the experience is, it's just going to make it even better for everyone. And I'll let Brandon, talk a little bit more about the business and his experience last year, and then also some of his tips for you guys this year.
Yeah, so Shelby hit it right on the head. Like the SEC competition, it was seriously an amazing experience. And one thing I wanted to add to that, besides just going in there and just, being humble and just not having expectations because anything can happen. Because we thought we were taking the L from the start. We were reading all the company descriptions, we watched some of the pitches, and we're like, man, this is crazy. The competition is unreal. So we're like, let's just make the most out of this experience. And then we ended up winning it, which was crazy. But another thing that I want to say is, if it's anything like last year, which I know it's probably virtual, and so it might be a little bit different, but if you mess up on a pitch, you probably have multiple pitches, don't sweat it. A lot comes down to the question and answer. That section is a little bit more important. That's when, the judges can get a little better feel for you, and you'll be able to really be genuine about your business at that point. So don't sweat it in the pitch, just keep going. Another thing is, make the most out of the actual connections with the competitors. That was one thing that we were blessed to be able to do, is be able to just connect with all these great minds from different universities across the SEC. And we are still talking to those people that we met. So it's great networking. So definitely make the most of that. Meet as many people as you possibly can. Besides just the judges, those are great connects, but the competitors that you're competing alongside with, we're still talking to them today. So other than that, it's a great experience. Just make the most out of it. And good luck to everybody in 2020 for this pitch competition. It's going to be awesome. Good luck to you guys, and Hail State.
Hail State. Thanks, guys. Have a great experience.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Maurice, CEO of Yellow Card. We were the 2018 pitch competition winners for the SEC pitch competition. Back then we were on stage pitching our idea of selling Bitcoin in Nigeria. Since then we've been fortunate enough to expand outside of Nigeria, and we are currently operating across Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Cameroon, doing over $25 million a month, and we have over 50 employees now. Things have gone well for us since the competition, and in my opinion, it's one of those things that really gave us the confidence to take our idea to the next level. That being said, we did a ton of these competitions, and a lot of them did not go our way. So whether you're on the winning side or the losing side, stick in there, stick with your idea, and keep building it. They say that all of the best companies in the world have come out of the southeastern United States. There's no need to fact check me on that. It's true. And congratulations to you all for making it this far, and keep working on your idea. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Great messages from Buzzbassador and Yellow Card for all of our participants. We'll be back on this same stream at 1:15 for round 2 of the preliminary rounds. Remember that the order of teams pitching will be reversed in the afternoon. So first up in the afternoon will be Auburn. Okay? Judges will be in the deliberation room, and we'll break for lunch. See you at 1:15. Thank you.